Hey everybody, hope this is live. Let me see if I can get a quick test. It's never happened before, but sometimes. Nope. Just waiting for a thumbs up in the audience to let me know that I'm live. We've got some good stuff to talk about today. And as usual, a lot of people are very concerned, and deepest apologies for the volatility. But the good news is, yes, we are live and the audio is working. So welcome in everybody. Couple of things to announce, and we'll jump to the quick stuff first. Is Math, Money, Freedom. You guys know the drill. None of this is investment advice, but I will be on George from Cryptos R Us, his channel later today in about 2 hours. He's on at 8:30 Central Standard Time, which is 6:30 Pacific Time, and I don't know what that is in other parts of the world with daylight savings and everything else, but I look forward to talking to George again tonight. And he was very gracious to invite me on his channel. So we look forward. Hopefully we can compare our retire on crypto portfolios and some of the action that's happened, because there's been a lot of movement, which I find very interesting. So let's just jump into the DeFi news right away and chat about it. Let me raise this mic just a touch because it's a little too low. First of all, Grayscale have jumped into the DeFi fray. And for those of you that know, I am a big DeFi bull. I've seen it live in action. I've used it. I believe in it, and nothing makes me more bullish. And I know the DeFi plays have been hammered recently, so apologies for that. But anyway, Grayscale came out and they built a portfolio of decentralized finance protocols. And you recognize some of the names. And they're very proud to offer this because they believe DeFi is the future of financial services. Now, the big takeaway from this portfolio is the fact that 50% of it, or 49.9% of it, is Uniswap, and a little over 10% is Aave. And it also includes Compound, Savory, DAO, SushiSwap. SushiSwap I don't really agree with. Synthetics, Yearn Finance, and UMA. So some very interesting names. Interesting portfolio. Glad they're in the game, and it'll give people the chance to invest in the DeFi revolution by way of getting into a fund. So kudos to Grayscale. And we'll talk a little bit about Grayscale in a little while too, because they have more news. So let me make sure there's cool comments. Anthony, thank you so much. You are so kind. And again, you know where the money goes. So thank you. So hang in there, guys. This guy, Will Clemente, he is awesome analyst for a guy at such a young age. I think he's 19 or something, but he is on the money. So he basically shared this graphic here. And I shared a version of this a few days ago. But basically, the thing is going to pop soon, is basically what he is thinking. Supply shock is in play this week. He is very, very bullish. And he comes as he looks at all the on-chain signals pointing to the rise of Bitcoin adoption around the world. And he's extremely bullish on this hockey stick upwards movement. If you look at the green line in terms of adoption of Bitcoin, and also the fact that retail investors are really accumulating. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute, because it's very, very important to know. I know a lot of you are losing faith. It's been a very rough 2 months. But remember, this is an asset that goes up 200% per year. It's not going to be straight sailing. So let's talk a little bit about this guy, Vays. He believes there's something called Capitulation Day coming very, very soon. Capitulation is when the crap hits the fan, everybody sells, and there's a big wick down. We saw that a few weeks ago on June 22nd when Bitcoin hit 28,000 and change. It was down there for 79 minutes, and then it bounced right back above 30K. So this guy, Vays, basically said, make sure I didn't miss anything here, from Cole Huffman. Have you heard of AMP and Flexi? Yes, we have. We are looking into those, Cole, so thank you so much for the donation. We're looking into AMP and Flexi right now as we speak, but I'm not sure if we're going to analyze them. We're trying to be much more cautious on the type of names that we look at. We've actually recently gone through 2 that will come up this week, and we'll more about them later. One is good, one is bad. So anyway, Vays, he is a big Bitcoin bull, but he believes Capitulation Day is coming soon. And what this basically means is he believes the price of Bitcoin will somehow wick down and then bounce right back up. And he thinks it'll actually be a good thing because then we get back to making new all-time highs. He just thinks that could happen anytime this week. So along the lines of Will Clemente thinking things are very bullish and going to blow up, upwards, not blow up, blow up. But Tone Vays thinks there's going to be a quick wick down and then it'll be done and then off to the races. So we'll see what happens. And that kind of theory I can relate to, but I do want to share one thing as well that's related to that. And this is a very important chart. This is the Bitcoin realized price by cohort. Now, I'm not sure I trust these numbers exactly because I did a little bit of rough back on the napkin stuff, but they look kind of okay. But the point is, here you see a couple of things. One is the whales have a realized price by cohort right now of about $28,392. What's interesting about this is when on June 22nd, we wicked down to exactly that price. So when the whales have a price a little bit above that, and if the Bitcoin price falls below, they will come in and buy more. And that's the big takeaway here. So I still go back to, if there is a wick downwards, like Tone Vays says, there probably is this week, and we're seeing a lot of weakness in the market, but still a lot of relative strength within Bitcoin, that could be a time to grab some. Again, I don't see the 20K number happening. And anything that does happen, it'll be very fast. And this chart here backs up the $28,000 thesis that we saw already on June 22nd. So you begin to see everything is related and everything's beginning to make sense. So this is a Bitcoin distribution by Willy Woo. As you guys know, I love distribution, wealth distribution, and who owns the coins, etc. And you've seen many videos of mine on this. This was a cool little finding. And what's cool about this chart is it echoes Will Clemente's findings as well. Basically, the whales who own 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin continue to add to their holdings. This basically means the 1,921 whales hold about 4.2 million Bitcoin. And what the whales are continuing to add to their bags. Now, the other piece of good news here is Willy Woo refers to the plebs, which is the old word for plebeian, which is a very unkind term, but like the common surf people, the common retail investor. And they have acquired over the last 31 days, 31,000 Bitcoins, which is awesome news. So you got the whales buying and the retail investors buying. So it's fantastic. The people in the middle are kind of on the edge, and some of them are actually selling. So let's jump a little bit deeper, and I'll get back to the Elrond question as well. Yes, Elrond is on the list, but it's not in high demand. So we do our token analysis based on surveys we put out every couple of weeks and Patreon vote on what they want to analyze next. So the next two in the box, just so you guys know, are Cosmos and Engine. Okay, so whales, to prove that the whales are buying like crazy, and you'll see here the Bitcoin supply held by addresses with 1,000 to 10,000 is growing, and that proves what I just said on the previous slide. So there's the validation. The on-chain analytics do not lie. So, and these people have been buying from 36, 34, 33, 32, and they're probably buying more today. Now back to Willy Woo. I pulled out his numbers just so you guys could see and know where you are, because the majority of who I am and who we talk to, we are the retail people. And I highlighted this area with little red boxes. So you see the Bitcoin distribution. We now have nearly 14% of all Bitcoin is held by retail, basically people with less than 1 Bitcoin, or between 0.1 Bitcoin up to 10 Bitcoin. I apologize for those two segments. And I put together a little waterfall chart as well, so you see the exact food chain of who owns what, and what percentage of the Bitcoin that they own by cohort. And again, very interesting to look at for those that are interested. Now, the cool thing about this, though, is, again, Willy Woo calls them plebs, which isn't very nice, but the waterfall really shows you that this sector is actually growing. If you go back 2 or 3 years, you'll notice there was nowhere near as many in this area. So thank goodness retail are getting a piece of this transformation. Despite all the FUD and everything else, they are buying and growing. And the other thing really to really understand is the bull market begins with heavy investors, but the middle part of the bull market is all retail, and that drives a lot of the action. So very interesting. Now, the question I always get as well when I put together my pyramids for Bitcoin wealth, people say, oh, but that looks very unfair. It's like there's a huge concentration of wealth across the top 1%. But no, it's not true. If you look at global wealth, the top 1% own 43% of global wealth, and the top 12% own 85%. So actually, Bitcoin is a little more equitably distributed than the wealth on Earth. And also the fascinating thing about this is the fact that we all have a chance. This is the transformation that I've been talking about for a long time. It gives the small guy a chance to be on par with the big guy. Remember, there's only 14 million coins because so many are lost, and Satoshi has 1 million locked up. So there'll never be more than 14 million coins. And there's 52 million millionaires. So there's not, millionaires themselves, even if they wanted to, couldn't become whole coiners unless they start buying now. So we'll check that out. So Rusty Invest, how the Bitcoin halving event in 2024 will affect Bitcoin investments this time around. I was not a Bitcoin investor during the event, but the charts show a nice increase during the May 11, 2020 halving. Yes, interesting question there. So Rusty, to derail this real quick, because I don't want to lose it. Sometimes the super chats get lost, and thank you for your contribution. The effect of the impact of the halvings become less each time around. So a half, a half, a half. And I believe we're going to have more elongated cycles, bull cycles, shorter bear markets, or crypto winters, whatever you want to call. But basically in 2024, it'll have a big impact. Like in the year 2024, if Bitcoin's, say, at $500,000, then it'll have a substantial impact. With Bitcoin's around $100,000 or $200,000, kind of less of an impact. But that is definitely one to watch. And that also has a huge impact on the supply that's available, and that drives the price up. So basically, love everything you do. Is there an Invest Answers Discord? Yes, there is, T-Bart. There is a very active one with lots of people in there every day, but it's only available through Patreon capitalists. So thank you for your question. Okay, so that was the Bitcoin Wealth Pyramid. Now, in other news regarding Bitcoin energy FUD fighting news, this I thought was really interesting. Basically, the TLDR of the whole article is it costs in the US about $200 worth of electricity, which is a household in the US running for 53 days, which is an average about $200 of electric burnt, to generate a $31,000 Bitcoin. So that is not bad at all. When you put that in perspective, it's actually a very, very positive number. Now, I think it was, I can't remember who it was, Michael Saylor, I think. He spoke about the airline industry, and they burn 65 cents of fuel for every dollar of revenue that they generate. Again, airline industry. You don't see anybody saying they're a dirty industry at all, do you? Now, remember, Bitcoin, using this metric, is 100 times more energy efficient than the airline industry. And again, it generates a lot more value, monetary value. This is considered the new financial system. And tied to that is another piece of excellent news. So first of all, the GBTC update. People were worried that this is going to completely tank the Bitcoin price. Well, it didn't. The current premium is about 12.76%, and it was 15% last Friday. So if there was a lot of dumpage of the GBTC shares, we'd see a much higher discount to net asset value. So 15% last Friday before the release. Now it's 12.76%. And I'm looking at charts that track the GBTC price in line with Bitcoin price, and they are correlating almost perfectly. So again, it looks like it's been a little bit of nothing burger, despite the fact the market was very weak. But remember, the stock market got hammered today. I did forecast that. I came a little bit earlier than expected, but I got out of a lot of positions and was moving to cash over the last couple of weeks. But that's when the stock market tanks, it does have an impact on the crypto market. I am hoping for much more of a break in the correlation between both as we go forward. So we'll see what happens. And that's why you have things like the bear on the wall behind me, because I'm still a little bit bearish, but there's more good news coming. So let's jump ahead. In terms of CBDC news, I thought this was ironic and very funny. So senators urged the Olympic Committee to work with federal agencies to protect the privacy of American athletes from the Chinese Communist government. This is their words, not mine. And they cited in the messaging things like, hey, don't use the payment app WeChat as precedent. Watch all the other kind of apps. Don't use the digital yuan to buy anything, because the American politicians are fearful that the Chinese will spy on the American athletes, because they believe they're using the digital yuan to already surveil, threaten, and arrest Chinese citizens. But hold on. America wants to build their own CBDC. So there you go. I hope people are kind of following my train of thought. Don't use the digital yuan from China, but you can use ours when we get it. It's just the same thing. So this is the message that people need to be concerned about. And I believe firmly that digital CBDCs in general will actually promote the use of Bitcoin going forward, because who wants to be surveilled? And related to that, Bitcoin will replace fiat by the year 2040. This is a panel of about 20 experts that looked at the whole study of hyper-Bitcoinization. I won't bore you to death with the details, but what was interesting about this panel, they believe a couple of things. The panel of, I think, 20 plus people, including Alex Mashinsky and others, they believe Bitcoin will hit around 70,000 by the year end 2021, which isn't bad. And remember, we're 30,000 now, so going up to 70 is pretty good return, and that'll be an all-time high. And this is also based on, it's kind of up for their prediction that they had last December, which is good, but 30% lower than the prediction they made in April, of course. There's been a lot of things happening with the China shutting down miners and banning crypto and everything else. But that was a very interesting study, that Bitcoin and hyper-Bitcoinization is coming. Now, in other kind of related news is the BWord. Hope this doesn't turn out to be kind of a nothing conference, but this is a virtual event, and Elon Musk will be there talking and debating with Jack Dorsey about Bitcoin and if it's renewable and clean, etc. Cathie Wood will be there too as well, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. So I am excited for this event on Wednesday, the 21st. And I'll give you a full report of any good takeaways from the event. And again, fingers crossed. If it's run by Cathie Wood and Jack Dorsey, I'm sure there'll be some very good takeaways. And related to that, coincidentally, on Friday, Cathie Wood bought a truckload of Square. I own Square in full disclosure, and I sold a quarter of my PayPal last Friday or Thursday, I can't remember. I sold my Apple and everything else. But I thought this was kind of interesting, that Cathie bought $60 million worth of Square. And she also sold PayPal last week too, because when I look at the correlation between PayPal and Square, it was very clearly out of whack. So I'm very proud to say that I beat Cathie Wood a little bit to the punch, at least on the PayPal and getting out of Apple and stuff. Now, I just want to say something. There's been terrible flooding, and coincidentally, outside, I'm in a bunker right now, so it's completely soundproof, but there is a thunderstorm outside, and there was terrible flooding all around the world. In Germany, the flooding was desperate. I saw some video coverage. It looked terrible. Chancellor Merkel called the damage surreal, and she says we have to work faster in the battle against climate change. These were unprecedented floods. But at the same time, 30 people died in Mumbai, flooding there. And there's 2 collapsed dams in China due to torrential rain and flooding. So here we are in the middle of the summer, and people are dying, and there's unprecedented floods happening all over the world at the same time. And the weird thing is, thunderstorm here, but you can't breathe the air outside because there's forest fires in California. And I am 60 miles away from a huge forest fire right now. So strange things are happening in the world, and it's very important that, what use is wealth without health or a planet we can live on. So just want to drop that note, and now I'll open up to Q&A. So big thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to switch cameras 1 second and pop out the chat. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Let me see. Hope everybody's doing good on this Monday. And we'll be chatting with George as well real soon too. So let me see. Darth Flyer. Hyper-Bitcoinization is my favorite word. It's an interesting word, and I think it's truly coming. And these like a panel of top 20 global experts in finance and education and everything else, and they say, yeah, 2040, 2050, that'll be it. Bitcoin will be running the world. So the question is, for all those people, and I know there's a lot of people that bought at the top, they saw it going from 9,000 to 20,000 to 30,000 to 50,000 to 60. Some people bought at 60,000. Now they're saying, oh my God, I've lost 50%. What am I going to do? Just wait. That's all I can say. Just wait. Just analyze the panel of experts that I shared and read the report, and you'll get a lot more confidence. You don't need to listen to me. The world needs a break from Elon Musk. Sure does. He's coming around. I think the backlash from him on social media was painful to him because he is a little bit of an egomaniac and he likes to be praised. So I think it was a big wake-up call. I think we'll see a kinder, better Elon Musk at the BWord on Wednesday. Fingers crossed. And I'm also hoping that he'll come around to Bitcoin being good so we can start buying Teslas again for Bitcoin. Apparently, nobody would spend their Bitcoin to buy a Tesla, but just the concept is kind of nice to hear. It has a nice ring to it. So Chad G. Hi, James. I was reading that retail trading volume is down, Robinhood, but whales are buying. Are you concerned that the lower retail buying to price action in the near term? Thank you. So I did look at the report. I read the report about Robinhood saying crypto is down. I think people aren't buying crypto on Robinhood anymore because they understand the importance of self-custody and you can't download your crypto. And that's why I did a report, I think it was on Sunday, that the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of Robinhood, said she's going to strive towards getting a wallet for Robinhood users. So I think that's what's happening. But definitely retail are buying. The people in the Patreon community, we had, I think, 7 new whole coiners yesterday, at least 3 or 4 today that I read. So that's 11 whole coiners since March in 2 days. So retail understand, the early adopters understand that this is something that everybody needs to have a little piece of. Not saying put all of your eggs in the Bitcoin basket, but definitely have a piece. And I keep going back to Ray Dalio. He says 20%. He's the best hedge fund manager of our generation. So there you go. Like, you don't have to listen to me. Yes, I'm in a bunker, concrete bunker, 4 feet walls. So are we still all George? Yes, tonight I will be George too. So look forward to it. Shoeless Joe, love you, man. Thanks for being here. Do you have a new ETH prediction, James? My ETH prediction has not changed. And in fact, I bought some today. So I did my usual trading alert on Patreon. So I remain as bullish as ever. Let me see. I hope I didn't miss anything. There's tons of questions coming in. P. Vincent, do you think we're going up above 50K this year on Bitcoin? Absolutely. No doubt in my mind we're going above 50K. Absolutely. I am 99% sure Bitcoin is going way above 50K this year. So that's how confident I am. And I know it's hard, but you got to understand this game is being manipulated. You can see it in the numbers. Just look at the Bitcoin chart the last 4 or 5 days. It has never had such a low volatility. It's less volatile than the Dow Jones, okay? So that shows you. And that doesn't happen automatically. That is manufactured. And the whales, again, 1,000 Bitcoin or more, they are buying, okay? They want this. They got to keep the price down. That Scott Minerd from Guggenheim is telling you it's going to 20,000, going to 10,000. He wants to scare the retail investor away so he can take all the bags for himself. It's so clear, and I think it's criminal behavior. Anyway, AE, thoughts on taking out a personal loan to buy Bitcoin, especially considering interest rates are lower than the yield you can get from 1 Bitcoin in Celsius? This is a tricky question. Only risk what you can afford to lose, and I don't want people ever getting into a situation because there's always that 1% chance. Imagine you refinance your house and you take out a big loan and you don't have cash income, cash flow to be able to keep up with the payments. And if you lose those eggs, again, in that black swan event, something happens and you lose those eggs. That's why I'm very against borrowing to buy Bitcoin. However, what I do is I find ways to finance everything I possibly can. If I'm buying a car, I will finance it. If I'm buying a house, I will finance it. And I will I will lock in a fixed rate of 2.5%. I just got a new financing arranged, 2.5% fixed for 7 years. So from that perspective, save your cash, invest it carefully. I'd much rather have my cash to invest than have it sitting in a house or something else. When the banks are giving you money for 2.5% and inflation's 15%, you're right there. You're making 12.5% on your money. So you just have to pay back less in the future. So thank you so much. JR for Sar the Tiger, thank you so much. And Avocados and Monkeys. With the Delta variant causing a dip in the stock market, do you think crypto could fall even more? Yeah, I made a post on Patreon a week ago regarding my concern and why I was moving to cash, because I was very concerned not only about the Delta variant, but the Lambda variant too. I was watching countries all over the world having lockdowns. I have a sister who left Malaysia because of the lockdown there. Her husband's still there. They moved to London, where the president is doing some things that even she doesn't agree with. So, yeah, I think yes, people are concerned, but remember, COVID. Sometimes the reaction to it is overblown. I know people that are vulnerable will die. And I know the death rate is 10 times that of the common flu, and it's terrible. But the good news, there is only one silver lining, is that the hospitals are much better equipped to deal with it now than they were before. And hopefully they put less people on ventilators. So thank you for the question. And I don't want to get involved in a whole COVID talk, but I can see the signs and position myself accordingly. And I shared all that information with others. So hopefully they were able to respond too. Caligula, Monica got some funds together to bring her to a half Bitcoin and a half ETH. She's off to an amazing start. She loves animals. We help. Awesome. Thank you so much, Caligula, and congratulations to Monica. Ausgezeichnet, you can tell her. Boom Chaka, hey, thanks for the nice comment today. Do you work all day in a fancy shirt, or do you get dressed up for us? So these shirts are they're Lululemon shirts. I have about 6 of them. And I just get them cleaned and wear the same shirt every day. So one last thing to think about. And I remember watching a movie when I was very young, and there was this Wall Street investor, and he walked into his closet. It was all white shirts, all blue ties, all black suits. And it's just the simplicity of life, you know. Buy one shirt that's just works, that fits, and wear the same thing all the time. Also, the theme of the channel is just black, simplicity, no frills, no fluff. And that's what we're trying to do. So thank you for the question. But yeah. I can show you actually my shorts I'm wearing. They're like pink Hawaii surf shorts. So serious on top, party at the bottom. So, and as I say, I just share everything. Why not? Grant, is Polygon currently dead, even though the ecosystem's growth has been insane? Matic has a great question, Grant. Matic has been super, super weak. And I know people are concerned that it'll be redundant post EIP 1559. I don't think so, by no stretch. They are doing so much with DEXs, decentralized exchanges, and other things. And I still remain very bullish in Polygon. And I nearly pulled the trigger and bought more today, but I might do tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I was just waiting to see a bottom. I didn't see it in the charts like it did with 3 other items today. So I remain bullish in Polygon. I know there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, this is just bad software and these 3 guys from India are cowboys and stuff, but I don't agree with that at all. I think what they've done is amazing. And if you look at the gas prices on Ethereum today, averaging like $1.50 now or something, $1.40, that's a lot because of the layer 2 solutions like Polygon. So big thanks to them. Faye Honey Pop. Hi, James. I've been in crypto for 3 months, stressing. Yeah, you got it at the wrong time, and I feel so bad for you. I have 1 Bitcoin, 25 ETH, and over 20,000 ADA. Please tell me I don't have to wait 3 years for the moon. No, you don't. No, you don't. But you're very heavy on Cardano. I would get rid of some of your Cardano and get some things like Solana and Aave, Uniswap. I believe they have more upside than Cardano. And Cardano, Art Army, don't hate me. So that's what I would say. But you are in great shape. 1 Bitcoin and 25 ETH. Just make sure you keep your security tight, real tight. So let's see what else is going on here in the world. Julio, thank you so much. And another big one. Pilotri. Hope I got that right. When Bitcoin goes to 500K, will you sell or borrow against it? I'm not sure I trust putting in a place to borrow against it. Yeah, so it's not something I do today or would do today because I don't believe the risk is commensurate with the return. I don't need to make, like if I gave all my Bitcoin to BlockFi, I'd make 0.935% return per year, which is nothing. I can day trade that in 20 minutes if I really wanted to make that type of return. I could just get a Bitcoin, sell it, buy it. Of course, there'd be tax implications and everything else. But I do believe over the next 2 years plus, the DeFi ecosystem will be far more mature. And then I will be borrowing against it to buy other types of assets, things like revenue generating assets, like real estate and stuff. And that'll be an exciting time. But right now, I'm with you. Sometimes the return isn't worth it now. There is a caveat to that. If you are in a situation where you need financial freedom and you need to generate revenue for your family, or so you don't have to work at a day job that you hate, that makes you miserable, then by all means, throw one Bitcoin into Celsius and get your 6.5% there. That is a good thing to do. And I do trust Celsius. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much for the question. AE, let me see. That's interesting. Pushing you on my first question. If the IRS treats Bitcoin like property, why not buy it like property via personal loan if your income is stable or in a high income earning career? Very good point. So throwing that back at you, it's, you could buy a property in San Francisco and there could be a vicious earthquake and the whole thing could explode. And the cost of rebuilding now is far more than your insurance to value could be that you get back. And if there is a big earthquake in somewhere like San Francisco, the insurance companies would bankrupt anyway. So you're not going to get your money back. And your retentions are so high and earthquake might not even be covered if you don't have earthquake insurance. So from that perspective, what I'm trying to do is benchmark real estate property to Bitcoin. Both could have a black swan event. And I am just very fiscally conservative. I go back to the whole mantra, only invest what you can afford to lose. And that applies to Bitcoin. So borrowing and leveraging yourself up to the hilt could put you in a bad financial hole for the rest of your life in the 1% or 0.5% chance that something happened to Bitcoin. I hate to see that happen to somebody. Now, if you are in a situation, imagine you've got your own private business. It's cash flowing $25,000 a month. Your cost of living is $5,000. You have the ability to cover $20,000 and pay back a loan that you would borrow anyway. Worst case scenario, Bitcoin goes to zero, and you could pay that back within 3 years without having to liquidate other assets. Then I say yes, go for it. That's my the way I think about it. So just work out those numbers and put your expected values and risk and return together and decide. But if you can borrow at 2.5% fixed for 5 to 10 years and you have cash flow to cover your payments and you're not going to damage your credit, do it. Not investment advice. Please do your own research. Dushi Mahesh. Hey, James. I think you're in Dubai, Arab Emirates. Welcome. Have you heard of the coin Covalent? CQT. Seems exciting as Solana. I would love to hear your thoughts on it, please. Yeah, I read about it very, very briefly. I haven't done a deep dive into it. The problem is we're at a stage now where there's so many Solana replicas and there's so many dexes and everything else. And this is where I keep going back to the same thing of having the first mover advantage, having the big backers, having the big partnerships. And that's why I am more bullish on Solana than any other rising competitor. So just be very, very careful. The place is flooded with far too many players in the whole, the whole token world. There's just simply far too many. So I've become extremely selective on how you invest, and I advise others to do so as well. Just go with the businesses and the tokens that have strong partnerships, strong teams, strong financial backing, etc. So Giulio Ronchetti, thank you so much. Is it crazy to consider that Bitcoin will play a role of gold at Bretton Woods for the new CBDC for world economy reset in a few years? Not crazy at all. And I think there will be more sovereigns that will try and make Bitcoin their reserve asset and borrow against it. There is rumor, I haven't vetted it, but the new pilot of the digital yuan from China is apparently backed by gold. But I haven't been able to prove that yet. And that would be a great thing, because having something backed by something that actually appreciates over time, because gold hasn't appreciated, that's actually gone down in value over the last 11 years if you take into account purchasing power and CPI. Even the most conservative government published CPIs, it's gotten nowhere. So having it backed by Bitcoin would be great. And I think that's what Ukele sees in El Salvador. He knows it's a way he can dig his country out of a hole and to make it a very, high growth place. So I think that's definitely possible. Lime, what percentage of your total portfolio is crypto? What percentage is Bitcoin? I'm trying to balance my portfolio. Thank you. Great question. I share my portfolios. I would be probably 2/3 equities, heavily leveraged equity positions, 1/3 crypto. And of that 1/3 crypto, right now I'm about 65% Bitcoin, about 30% Ethereum, and about 6% altcoins, which include Aave, Solana, Engine Coin, Uniswap, those types of names. So, and I share all this within Patreon. And in fact, I'll be talking about my portfolio on the George video in about an hour and 15 minutes. So, Terran Crypto, I better wrap up soon. Can we get 60 seconds on Cell Token? And is it on your radar for a breakdown? Yes, it is. The tokenomics, and it is. We are looking at a couple of tokens. We'll probably do a comparison of like the Voyager token, the FTX token, the Celsius token, and any other token that fits in the mix. And we'll do kind of a bake-off, because I think that's the best way. And I want to do something similar with stable coins too, like USDC versus USDT versus all the other new ones that are popping out there. So Taryn, great idea. Thank you for nudging me. But Cell Token, hopefully next week, we'll be able to get to that as well. Theta video, when? Yeah, we have so much to do in so many areas. Everybody wants. So that is on the radar, Capitulation, next week or the week after. It depends also what happens. So one of the things that I selfishly do is, and I've been looking at Ren token as well. If I see something as a real bargain, like for example, if there is a token that's really beaten down, that will accelerate it in the pipeline to be able to publish something on it. So Bajit, thank you so much. And Kevin Turvey, this will be the final question that I really have to roll. Polygon says there already is more than 100,000 gamers and over 500 decentralized. Polygon Studios is going to be off ski. Yes. Again, Polygon are doing so much cool stuff in so many areas, not only just gaming, but decentralized exchanges and swaps and everything else. That's why I remain bullish, and it's extremely weak right now. Same with other good names like Polkadot and others. So that's it. Michael, last question. I have a lot of questions, but you're busy with a lot already. So I just want to say you're a good guy. Keep up the good work and on your station. Thank you so much, Michael. And again, the mission for everybody who may be new is to give back, is to help people stay the course, learn, and find ways to build financial freedom. And I am case in point. So I've made it my mission in life as I'm retired to find ways to give back, and to everything, to nature, to animals, to you guys. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to take a little while off, and then I'll be back online on George's channel, Cryptos Are Us. So thank you, everybody. A big thank you to Mike as well for being there. Oh, one last question came in. Currently, Covalent is backed and hashed, Binance Labs, Coinbase Ventures, and a few more. And it's more compared to the graph. It's new and has 1/10 of the supply. Yeah, the graph, as you know, I was put off by the tokenomics. So Dushi Mahesh, thank you so much. I will take a look at Covalent. Thank you so much for the prompt as well. Big thank you, everybody. I'll see you online again in about an hour. Okay? And everybody be safe out there. See you soon. Bye.